Our patient is a 2014 Ford Escape. We're going to be replacing the front right, that's the front passenger CV axle. Just to make a note, this is the 1.6 liter turbo all-wheel drive. So we want to jack it up, put it on jack stands, pull the tire off. Our axle nut is a 32 millimeter. All right, so the axle moves through the hub really good. If it didn't, we just hit it with a hammer to knock it loose, but it's free, good to go. So now we want to remove the tie rod. The tie rod is a 15 millimeter. Now we want to remove the lower ball joint. It's an 18 on this side and a 15 on the other. I'm going to put the nut partially on so I don't damage the threads. Get that nut through. There we go. A lot of axle grease everywhere, so I'm cleaning up as I go. So to separate the ball joint from the control arm, it's just a matter of a pry bar. All right, I'm struggling with this lower ball joint, getting it separated from the knuckle. So I'm gonna switch gears. Usually that's how you get it off, and then that allows this to swing out. But there's an alternate method. I'm going to unbolt the strut tower and then knock the knuckle out from the strut tower, and then it'll swing from the top instead of from the bottom. Same thing, just different method. I put up a real fight, but that's what we want, is that. Usually this isn't what you have to do, but that's what I had to do. I'm going to pull the CV axle out. I'm going to hang this up so it doesn't tip over. We got to watch our brake hose. We don't put too much pressure on it. All right, just so you know, this is loose, it's not tight. Right here is a 13 millimeter, and then up above it, can't see it, but there's another 13 millimeter, and it's just a retaining clip. Two 13 millimeters come off, that retaining clip comes off. So that's what we'll have to get next. We also have a catch pan underneath, just in case some transmission fluid comes out of the transfer case. All right, got the old one out. It did not need the puller, and no fluid came out. So there is no clip ring on the inside like some have. Match up the new one with the old one. Make sure the important parts look the same, and we're ready to slap it in. On the inside, we just want to clean up around our seal really good, and we're going to lubricate our seal with a little silicone paste for insertion. We'll also, right here is the bearing retaining. We're going to just lubricate that too with just a little silicone paste. So we got the new CV axle in, and you just want to push it in until that bearing is in this little concave little spot there. And then since we have a lot of room, I just wanted to show you too, to get this lower ball joint out, where you're supposed to put the pry bar is right in this little notch here. It has a little pry bar action, and that'll bend the knuckle down. There's also a little spot here and here that you can use for prying down, but I didn't have any luck with that. But that's really what you're supposed to only take off is that. So hopefully yours is easier than mine. If you're struggling, you know, there's an alternative way to do it. All right, so there's a sequence to get that bracket back on. The lower one, you torque to 44 inch-pounds, and then the top one is 18 foot-pounds, and then back to the bottom one, 18 foot-pounds. So in the end, they should be 18 foot-pounds each. Just another note before putting the CV axle in, clean up everything the best you can, get all that old grease out of places that it shouldn't, just get it nice and clean. I thought I had this recording, putting this all back together, but what I did was I put the lower ball joint back on, just resting the knuckle over the ball joint, and then I took the sway bar link off, and then that gave this more maneuverability. Push down on the lower control arm to get this in its little home. It has a little piece here that fits in the notch, so just make sure that that's lined up, you know, as close as you can. Put this through and then pushed it in, and then in order to get this knuckle back on, you have to load the suspension. So you can put the little jack under the lower control arm, jack it up. You may need to tap on it a little, but it should pretty much just slide up and over this strut tower. And then again, just make sure that it's in its little groove, and that's it. So let's go ahead and get some torque specs and torque everything down. While the suspension is loaded, we'll go ahead and torque our lower strut to 59 foot-pounds. Then we'll take the jack out and get our ball joint is 61 foot-pounds. All right, next to put on is our sway bar link. In order to get this to fit back in, you need to jack up the other side, so both suspension are unloaded or just hanging. Then this will fit in its little home. I don't have torque spec on that, so just use your judgment, but that is 35 foot-pounds. We can put that in as well and torque that down. So before I forget, on the tie rod, the nut has a lock washer, so it's a one-time use nut. If you do reuse it, then we'll have to put Loctite on it. So that's what we're going to do, Loctite the nut, or you can get a new one. For the sway bar link, just don't forget to put your ABS sensor bracket back on, and then you may need a pair of vice grips behind it to hold that little ball and socket in place so it doesn't spin on you while you're tightening it up. Same with it coming off. I don't think I showed this coming off, but a lot of times you just use a pair of vice grips behind it, hold it in place while you zip it off. All right, that is it. Just double check your work, make sure everything's tight. For the torque on the spindle nut, it's 59 foot-pounds plus an additional 90 degrees. And how I like to get my 90 is I'll torque it to the 59, and then I'll take a marker, mark it in the up position, and then use an impact, and it'll move to my 90, and so that'll get my 90. Another thing you can do is pop the cover off here and then go through the center with the tire on, vehicle on the ground, and that'll prevent it from moving. Just want to show you my setup for getting my 59 foot-pounds. I have my pry bar there, so now the hub doesn't spin, and then just my torque wrench, and then torque it down, 59. It's not too difficult, 59 isn't that much, and then I'll get my 90. So that finishes up everything. We just put our skid plate back on and take it for a quick test drive. We're just looking for any vibrations, noises, anything out of the ordinary, but we should be good to go. All right, there we go. Test drive went well. Just peek back under one more time just to make sure seal's not leaking and everything looks good. This was especially hard for me because I could not get the lower ball joint separated from the knuckle. That's not common. I don't know why I was having such a hard time prying on it. I just couldn't get it. So I ended up taking the strut out of the knuckle and just the whole knuckle off the vehicle. That's not common. Hopefully you don't have to do that, but if for some reason you're struggling, that is something that can be done. Other than that, you know, pretty simple. You're just unbolting things, sliding it out, sliding the new one in, torquing things back down. I did not lose any fluid. You may lose fluid, so always still have that catch pan under there just in case. All right, well, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. See you on the next one.